we were just talking about Stranger Things. And I've mentioned before, I'll mention again, I like Stranger Things. I've never been like a strange head, whatever the Stranger Things fans call themselves, Potterheads, Trekkies, whatever. What do Stranger Things fans call themselves? Don't know. But I've liked the show. I watched every season and I enjoy it, but I'm not a huge fan. I am a huge fan of this season. This season has been incredible. I talked about the season finale on yesterday's John Campea Show. I really like the finale of it. I love what it's setting up and all that kind of stuff. But here's something interesting. Unsurprisingly, with the success of Stranger Things and the universe they've created there, they're talking about doing spinoffs. As a matter of fact, it's pretty much been confirmed they're going to do a spinoff. It won't be directly connected to the characters in Stranger Things, so I'm not really quite sure what that means. But here's something that's quite interesting. The Duffer Brothers, who of course are the George Lucas of Stranger Things, they've come out and they basically said they don't have any intention of being involved with or doing this spin-off series. They're ready to hand it off. Sorry, my watch is now speaking to me. They're ready to hand this thing off. This is what they said when asked about if they would be involved with and run the spin-off series. They said this: ultimately, the hope is to pass the baton to somebody else, because by the time we're done with this, it's going to have been God. It's going to be almost have been 10 years. It's going to be more or less my entire 30s. So it would be another 5 to 10 year commitment on this thing. I don't think you can go half in. I was telling this to somebody else. There's not really a great version of us, say, doing a pilot and then abandoning it. So here we have the Duffer Brothers saying, yeah, spinoff, great, but we're not going to be involved. I'm sure they'll have their names attached as executive producers or something along those lines. Maybe one day they'll even visit a writer's room or something along those lines. But it sounds like they will not be the showrunners of it. They will not direct anything about it. They want to hand it off to somebody else. I have two feelings on this. One is I completely get it. Like when you're on one thing for 10 years, you're ready to move on, right? Hopefully other than your marriage. But after 10 years, you are ready to move on to try something else, especially in a creative industry. You want to flex your creative muscles. You want to go and do other things. You have other stories in your imagination that you want to go and do. And he's right. The commitment on Stranger Things has been all-consuming. Kind of like James Cameron with Avatar, which is why he was kind of talking the other day about maybe not directing 4 or 5 of Avatar. At any rate, so there's that. My other thought on it is that I think it's a good thing for Stranger Things. Like, I believe once in a while, changing up the creative heads is healthy for a franchise. We've seen several examples at times when the creative head staying in place sometimes grows a little bit fatiguing. We saw what happened with the great Sam Raimi by the time we got to Spider-Man 3. Right? He was repeating motifs he was doing in the other films. It just felt like he was running out of gas and needed something fresh. I don't think it's a coincidence that I believe the weakest of Christopher Nolan's Batman films is The Dark Knight Rises, right? It was a fine film. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trashing on that film. But when you compare it to Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, I think it's pretty clearly the weakest of the three. So I think every once in a while, a shift in creative head can be really, really good. Not always. I'm sure we can all come up with some examples of when it didn't work out so well. But in this case, I think it could be beneficial. Anyway, Rob, you hear about the Duffer Brothers saying, yeah, spinoff, great, but probably not involving us. Good idea, bad idea. How do you feel about it?
I actually think it's a good idea. They'll, of course, get their executive producer credit and get paid for creating it. So I'm sure they're like, hey, let somebody else take it. We'll get paid. And that's fine. But I think that there's something that's really intriguing about Stranger Things, and that is the Upside Down itself. We learned some really interesting things about the Upside Down, how it might be one moment in time in the 4th season. That's not a spoiler, I don't think. But what is it? And what about the clandestine organizations, these black ops organizations, these underground research facilities? I could see that the spinoff...
you had two arms of the American government killing each other.
Right. And I'm like, this is really interesting. I mean, what if you have some, not Hydra, but some kind of group within the United States government that's working on interdimensional research and aliens. I mean, not X-Files, but Stranger Things it up, Stephen King it up a little bit. It could be pretty interesting. I mean, I could see that direction. Like, where did Matthew Modine's character come from? I mean, obviously, what research was he doing? How was he there in the first place? Where is he finding these other psychic kids? There must be groups of them. We've seen in previous seasons, there are powered kids out in the world. 11 took up with some of them. And I could see that being a pretty cool spinoff. And if they need to, they could bring back Millie Bobby Brown for an episode or something like that. I mean, and I think having a different creator's take could be good. I mean, it's not like Vince Gilligan doing Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. He wanted to do that.
Yeah.
But if the Duffer Brothers are like, look, we're tired. I mean, I'd rather have new blood come in and make something that they're excited about that will be cool rather than somebody doing, retreading previous ground.
Well, I think you just glossed over Gold. What if it is Hydra? Where did they connect it? Or what if Papa and Hardgraves in Umbrella Academy are actually like they're both going after the same group of kids? There's another shared cinematic universe.
Who is to say that Umbrella Academy, being that it's a Netflix show, it's not part of the shared universe? Umbrella Academy could take place in the same universe.
I'm already in love with this. I mean, obviously it can't, but I'm in love with it. We want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, Manscaped. Now, guys, I love Manscaped. You've heard me go on and on about the Lawnmower 4.0 and that body wash. I love it so much. And so we got to ask, guys, have you started your spring cleaning yet? The carpets need cleaning, the drapes need dusting, and your lawn needs mowing, gentlemen. And you guys know Manscaped is more than just one product. They have a whole lineup of products to help you guys feeling, smelling, and looking your best. And so Manscaped is proud to present to you the Performance Package 4.0, which is the only tool that you need to keep your boys looking, smelling, and feeling good this spring. Now, to start off with, you get the Lawnmower 4.0. Guys, we have talked about this. What is wrong with us? Why have we for so long been using these terrible tools that were never meant for cutting our hair down there? The razor clipper things on our electric razors. That's barbaric, guys. You need the Lawnmower 4.0. And then there's the Weed Whacker. You guys have heard our own Ray Ora talk about this thing. He loves using it to get that hair in your nose and the ear hair. And then they offer lots of other stuff like the Crop Preserver. It's an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. The Crop Reviver. It's a spray-on toner for your balls. And of course, they've got the perfect grooming tool for your face with the Plow 2.0, the perfect razor for the finest shave on that face. So guys, get 20% off plus free shipping with the code CAMPEA. That's CAMPEA at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the promo code Campea at manscaped.com. It's time to throw out your old hygiene habits and upgrade your life. Anyway, Amy, you are an avid watcher of Stranger Things. Yes, you just got through season 4. Mm-hmm. What do you think about the idea of, can you see Stranger Things content without the Duffer Brothers? What do you think about this thing of theirs?
Absolutely. And thinking about it and thinking about what I'd want to see from a spinoff, I wouldn't want a Better Call Saul to a Breaking Bad. I think the goal there is you take sort of this concept of the Upside Down and you make it in that universe where the Upside Down exists, but you follow completely different characters. Yeah. And I think if you're going with something like that, getting the Duffers, having them step aside and bringing in some new blood is exactly the move, because that's going to help as an audience not feeling like, oh, it's the Duffer Brothers tricks with lesser characters I don't care as much about. It's a chance to use this universe that is so rich and is so fascinating, and I think there is still so much to explore there, but it gives you that chance to really find a new set of characters, a new voice, a new thing for audiences to get excited about.
Let me ask both of you guys this question. I'll start with you, Amy, on this. They've already said that this spinoff will have 100% new characters, 100% new story. Okay. I don't think it's hyperbole to say that one of the biggest, if not the biggest things about Stranger Things is that the public got really attached to the characters, particularly the kids, especially in season 1, right? Do you think there will be interest? Like, as with Better Call Saul, which you guys have both brought up, right? Like, they had one of the more popular characters from Breaking Bad in there, and then they kept bringing in more popular characters from Breaking Bad. That's not something that a spinoff of Stranger Things will have to lean on. Do you think the public is going to be all that interested in a Stranger Things spinoff without any of the characters they know and love?
I think they could make it work. I think what a lot of people took to with Stranger Things originally is, yes, the characters, but also just kind of that world building, like that fun poppy 80s thing they managed to hit with it. And I think whether they're doing 80s, whether they're finding a different time period to sort of write that sort of love letter to, I think if they found different but that same level of sort of love and fun, and I think Stranger Things really filled like a popcorn movie
That's
spot
true.
that we didn't have. So if they can find a way to do that with different characters and find, build these characters that we love just as much, obviously there are always going to be people who are like, well, this isn't the Stranger Things I love. And that's fair. But to me, I think that's a better idea than trying to keep these kids hanging on like well into their 20s.
Right.
Like,
Stranger Things, the college years.
Yeah. I bought Bob Odenkirk in the hairpiece, like fine. But like, I don't know if you can have like, you can't put like the little propeller cap on Millie Bobby Brown and be like, she's still, it's just not going to work. So I think they could find something.
Rob,
there.
do you think the public would be there for a spinoff without any of the characters they know and love?
It depends how good it is. Like, look, if you create, and I'm not saying it's not easy to create an ensemble of great characters. That's always a tough thing to do, but it can be done. Mm-hmm. And I think what's interesting is, do you keep the same time frame? Because I think you're right. I mean, it fulfilled that. Anybody who grew up liking the 80s, or if you weren't born yet and you discover 80s movies and you like things like Back to the Future and the Goonies and you like that vibe, John Hughes movies, and you like 80s Stephen King, I mean, all of that, Stranger Things really captured that well. If I could see somebody doing the same thing with like the 90s, or
right.
even the 70s. I don't mean like that 70s show or that 80s show or whatever. I just think that part of that nostalgia and that milieu is attractive, and you can create characters that reflect that. And what's interesting look at Stranger Things itself, it added characters every season. I mean, we talk about the ensemble nature of the boys. There was a lot of characters that were being really well served in the 4th season of Stranger Things. I mean, they really brought together the ensemble, and even, they were in different locations, and it did. I mean, we're in Russia, we're in the California, or in Hawkins. I mean, but it all worked because we like all of those people, and even the new characters they introduced. Who would have thought a Russian compatriot of Hopper's would be somebody we would care about? I mean, just because he's the...
And look how important Max ultimately became to the stories as well, right? Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The Duffer Brothers, the creators and runners of Stranger Things, are saying, yeah, there's a spinoff, but we probably won't be involved with that. Do you think that's a good idea, bad idea? Would you be interested in it? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.